Yesterday, Texas police declared that a recent stabbing of a 23-year-old Palestinian American man meets the definition of a hate crime. Now, this tragic event took place on Sunday in Austin, Texas. Zacharia Doar and 3 other Muslim Americans were riding together in a truck after attending a pro-Palestinian protest. The truck had a Palestinian keffiyeh or scarf on it, and Free Palestine was also written on the scarf. An arrest affidavit said that Bert James Baker, who was on a bicycle, rode up to the truck that Zacharia Doar and 3 others were riding in, opened the tailgate and doors and yelled racial slurs at them. The group exited the truck and approached Baker, who punched Doar in the shoulders, the affidavit said. A fight ensued, with Baker eventually pulling out a knife and stabbing Doar in the rib, the affidavit said. Thankfully, his injuries were not life-threatening. He did survive that stabbing, and he was transferred to a local hospital. Baker was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And here's what Baker's pathetic excuse for this crime was. When Baker was interviewed by police, he said he was an alcoholic and had more to drink that day than he normally did. Though the Austin Police Department's Hate Crimes Review Committee has in fact declared the case a hate crime, the Travis County District Attorney's Office has yet to decide whether to prosecute the case as a hate crime, kind of keeping up with this latest trend of prosecutors refusing to do their jobs as prosecutors, I guess. So Cenk, really devastating story, and this is in line with some of the increases we're seeing in both anti-Semitic hate and harassment, and in this case, anti-Muslim, anti-Arab hate and harassment that we've been seeing in the country following the October 7th attacks in Israel and then the subsequent war on Gaza.
Yeah, so I think the guy should get 20 years, and I'm not exaggerating, kidding, or anything along those lines. And if you think, well, I mean, he survived, and it was a stabbing, but it turned out, luckily, that it wasn't that bad. No, that's attempted murder.
It's attempted murder. Why is he charged with assault?
Yeah, no. This is crazy. And the more important than the attempted murder is we've got to make a statement as society. We cannot have our culture devolve like this. Anyone who attacks people like this based on the fact that they're Palestinian or Arab or Muslim or Jewish should get at least 20 years. A prosecutor should send a super clear message to the whole country. You are not allowed to attack people like this based on their race, their ethnicity, their religion, and we're gonna lay down the hammer on you if you ever go in this direction. So I'm minimum 20 years. Otherwise, this is gonna happen nonstop. And then, by the way, then what happens if it's perceived as one side versus another? In this case, it isn't. I don't think it is, right? But then it starts to go back and forth. There's disasters everywhere. And now, by the way, both related to this, and the second point is, we had the 3 Palestinian students shot in Vermont. We had the 6-year-old Palestinian boy who was stabbed 26 times in the Midwest.
To death, yeah.
And he's dead. And now we've got this guy being stabbed because he's Palestinian. Are there gonna be any congressional hearings?
No, we can't do that. It doesn't have anything to do with a college campus and protests on college campuses that some people don't like.
Because apparently chanting is like totally like the worst thing in the world, and people have to be fired if they don't condemn chanting enough. They condemned it, but not enough. So they were fired. So who's getting fired over all these Palestinians and Arabs and Muslims being attacked and knifed and killed here in America? Congressional hearings? Nothing. No. There's no national anything.
But
no one cares because they don't care about Palestinians in Gaza and they don't care about Palestinians in America.
By the way, I don't want any congressional hearings on this stuff. Okay, this isn't what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, they can't be bothered to govern the country or legislate, and instead they engage in the theater of these congressional hearings. What I do want is for prosecutors to do their jobs and for this individual to be charged with the proper charge considering what he did. It's attempted murder. You don't pull out a knife so you can have a little bit of fun play with someone. You pull out a knife and you stab someone with the intent of murdering them, of killing them. So how is this not attempted murder? I want to understand. I'm so sick of these ridiculous charges, all these like weak charges that we're seeing from prosecutors. He took out a knife and he stabbed an innocent person with the intention of killing this person. So why isn't this attempted murder? Anyway, now the victim's father, his name is Nazar, has stated that his son blames President Biden for the hate crime. Here's what Nazar said during a news conference this week. Zacharia is in pain, he's in agony. He said, Mr. President, Mr. Joe Biden, I blame you. I blame you for what happened to me. If you would have called for a ceasefire 3 months ago, this would not have happened. Zacharia and his wife have a 5-month-old child and recently moved into their first home. They were looking forward to enjoying the American dream. At the moment, the dream is fading away, Zacharia Doar said. So both, again, anti-Semitic and Islamophobic incidents have been on the rise since October 7th in the United States. For instance, in New York City, which has the largest Jewish population in the US, the 66 reported anti-Jewish hate crimes in October were 164% more than were reported in the same month last year, according to the NYPD. In Los Angeles, the 36 anti-Jewish hate crimes reported by the police department from October 6th to October 30th were a 140% increase over the same period last year. Now let's focus on what's been happening to Muslims and Arabs in America. The Council on American Islamic Relations released data showing that it has received a staggering 2,171 complaints of bias incidents or requests for help between October 7th and December 2nd amid what it called an ongoing wave of anti-Muslim and anti-Palestinian hate. In total number of complaints represented, or the total number of complaints represented a 172% increase over the same 8-week period the previous year, CAIR said in a news release. Now, obviously, not every single one of those cases are as extreme as someone pulling a knife out and attempting to kill someone by stabbing them. But nonetheless, I mean, what we're seeing in a country that was already divided, that was already dealing with, racial and ethnic divides, is more of this division, more of this hatred, and we need to find a solution to it. And look, I think part of the problem right now, and it's been an ongoing problem, having less to do with what's happening in the Middle East and more to do with the culture in America at the moment, is that we don't really have a shared identity in America right now, right? There's no pride in being an American. There's no shared identity as Americans, regardless of what your ethnic background might be. And that's a problem, and it's tearing the country apart.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Although the country's never been awfully warm to Muslims to begin with. Obviously, there's been massive anti-Semitism in the past for Jews as well. So we've been struggling with these issues for a long time. But Anna's right that during some period in what could be described as our golden years after World War II, we were united a lot more, and partly because there was a draft that brought all of us together. And so young Jewish kids from the Bronx would be, in the same bunker or foxhole as a miner from West Virginia and a black kid from Lexington, Kentucky, etc. And they were all together and they were all united. Although the black soldiers might have been in different places, but overall, still, you get what I'm saying. It's never been perfect,
no,
not even close, not even close. But it was better than this, believe it or not, at some point. And last thing I'll say is, if you're wondering about the political statement that the dad conveyed from the son who was stabbed, and if you're not familiar with how Muslims view Biden, you might be super surprised. I mean, today the DOJ came out with a report that was, devastating for Biden, calling him a feeble old man who couldn't remember anything, basically. But in that, they said, well, we can't prosecute him because he seems so sweet and empathetic. He doesn't to Muslim Americans. To Muslim Americans, he's the one that greenlit the massacre of their families and their brothers and sisters. And they don't find him sweet or empathetic at all. They think he's the monster who doesn't care about them and their lives 1%. He just cares about his donors, his political interests, and his career. And if you're butchering Muslims, Joe Biden doesn't mind at all. So if he has empathy for others, he maybe, but he certainly doesn't for Muslims. Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below, because that makes you a member, and members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.